What made you want to join this campaign?
I called around 2020 when all the COVID nonsense happened and our government's reaction to the COVID with the lockdowns and the suppressing treatments for the virus, and then the way they rolled out the vaccines and suppressed they said it was safe and effective. It's neither safe nor effective, and they've known that for a long time. That's how I got involved, but I've been involved in politics for 20 odd years, statewide, not nationally, statewide.
And so for people who don't know anything about you, give us the quick 30 seconds background and why you're here in Alabama and why this is so important.
I've been in Alabama since 1971. My family and I started an insurance agency in 1981. I've been in the insurance agency business for 43 years, and that's how I got involved in politics out of necessity for my industry. I got involved with the state legislature on insurance-related topics, and that's how I got into politics.
And as you enter this race, what are your top 3 issues you really want to hit?
Do away with the Department of Education. Do a little bit of research of Rockefeller and the Department of Education. The Department of Education is a program he started with the Department of Education's intentionally not educating our kids. They want complicit workers, not critical thinkers, by design. They're by design not educating our kids.
And so who would run everything? Just back to the state or local level?
Give the money back to the states. And then, and hopefully the states will even deregulate a little bit further and give it back to the counties and the cities.
All right, number 2.
Number 2 is our reaction to the coronavirus. The head of the FDA and the CDC admitted in the last couple of days they had more complaints adverse side effects reported to Vassars. It's a big database for vaccine injured people. They had an avalanche of injuries and deaths from the coronavirus vaccine. They didn't report it. It was suppressed, and they've known about it since 2021 when it first rolled out. They had more injuries and deaths reported to Vassars for the coronavirus than all other vaccines combined since 1990. That's insanity.
And number 3?
Number 3 is the Federal Reserve. This one's not difficult. The Constitution gives Congress the power and authority to coin money. Congress ceded that authority 100 years ago to a small group of men. We've been dealing with them and their descendants since. Debt is what motivates these men. That's why we never have a balanced budget. They get to print themselves money when we go in debt. We always have endless wars. We've been at war my whole life because of debt. We have an open border. No matter who's in charge, we always have an open border. And the giveaway programs and entitlement programs that we can't afford, including for the illegal immigrants, we can't afford them. When we can't afford it, we have to borrow money. We go to these men, they print themselves money first, then loan it to us. 3 companies, BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, now own controlling interest, which means they own the companies. They own controlling interest in 90% of all our companies that are publicly traded in the United States. And the 3 companies are all one because they all own each other's stock. Those 3 companies own 90% of the controlling interest in all the publicly traded companies, and they're going to own 60% of all our single-family homes in the next 6 years. Where does anyone get the unbelievable wealth to buy all the hard assets and companies in the richest country in the world? They're printing it. Congress allows them to print it, and they're buying America with it.
So how do you solve the border crisis? These images we see every day.
It's a simple, like I said, the border is there and it's open border because it creates debt. They're being helped into the United States by the guys that are printing themselves money. When we can't, we have to borrow money to pay for the border. These men print themselves trillions of dollars because we have an open border. If you take away the financial incentive, take away them being able to print their money and give it back to the people, it goes away instantly, overnight.
Now, you've talked a lot about money, and earlier we were mentioning how much money it takes to run one of these campaigns. Does that need to change? Millions of dollars.
My opponent is an incumbent, and he's going to spend about $1 million on the campaign. He's going to probably outspend me 100 to 1, and I'm trending up in the polls, and I'm with females I'm polling higher, and my polling numbers are getting higher. But yes, the establishment wants Gary Palmer to win. The establishment has also been lying to us. They lied to us about the coronavirus. They lied to us about the safe and effective vaccines. They've lied to us just about everything. They're supporting Gary Palmer.
Talk about some of those hot social issues, like abortion.
I'm against abortion.
Any exceptions?
Well, I'll tell you a story. I've never been married, stayed single my entire life, and then 5 years ago I got a call on a Friday afternoon. I found out I had a 34-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old grandson. Biggest blessing of my life. And I've talked to her every day since, and just talked to her before I got in here. And she never knew about me, and she was put up for adoption, and I never knew about her. And it's no, I'm against abortion because I wouldn't have a daughter nor a grandson right now. Great.
And let's also talk about the mood in Washington. I mean, it is so polarized. Do you see any way to bring the parties together to get things done?
I mean, there's a uniparty in Washington, D.C. They're not polarized. I mean, they're both way over here, but we're just not quite as bad as them. We need to do away with the uniparty. And I mean, the problem with the Republican Party is the establishment. And the establishment wants Gary Palmer to win. We don't need another uniparty candidate. We need someone that's talking about what I am and the deeper issues. And I'll go up there and raise hell.
And so to the average person who, as you mentioned, is becoming so hard to afford a home, it's so hard to pay the grocery bills, what kind of answers do you have for them? Forget all the bigger issues. It's just about putting food on the table, being able to pay my mortgage. What do you say to them?
Well, the price of homeownership and renting would go down overnight if Congress created the financial problem. Henry Ford said, "It's well enough the American people do not understand our banking system, for if they did, there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning." Congress created this problem. Congress can fix it overnight. We can take the $1 trillion we're currently giving these bankers every year and replenish Social Security. When we stop rewarding debt, all the problems are solved. Inflation goes away. There is no more inflation.
All right, and then back to the worldly view, Ukraine, Russia. Where do you see our path forward there?
There again, we've been at war my entire life, one war after the other. It's for debt. We have no strategic or financial interest in Ukraine. It's all for debt. It's a banker's war. It's an elite globalist war. It's not for us. It's to create debt. They send them $158 billion. They get to print $158 billion. That causes inflation.
Do you see any way, though, to keep Russia out of the other countries without going to war?
We're the aggressors there, not Russia. This could be solved diplomatically. We've been stalling every diplomatic solution for this since the start of it, since the CIA overthrew their government in 2008. We've been stopping and stalling every negotiated peace since then.
Any other topics you want to hit on that you feel are important to the voters you want to speak to?
Don't vote for the establishment candidate. I mean, they're the problems. So try something new.
Would you like to see us get back to the debate format where everybody's just kind of going at it?
Well, Gary won't debate. He's the incumbent, and he would get clobbered in a debate. I mean, there's so many things that he has not done. I mean, with the coronavirus reaction, they're injecting little kids in Alabama, infants and little children in Alabama right now because it's on the vaccine schedule. There's more, like I said earlier, they've had more reports to Vassars for deaths and injuries than all other vaccines combined. Why are they injecting children with this? It's insanity.